Okay. Just a brief history. So you've actually been to an eating disorder clinic, like rehab center, where you stayed there and they...
No, it was just outpatient.
So you would visit daily or...
Weekly, and just met with a counselor and
who specialized, I'm assuming, in did this specialist, has she also had an eating disorder?
No.
This is where there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to get into the mind of someone who has obsessive compulsive problems unless they've done it themselves. I don't know. She might have been really good. Did it help?
Yes and no. It helped, but then she changed her schedule, so I didn't get to... I met with her twice, and just as we were getting going. And then they put me with someone else who I didn't click with, and then I just got frustrated and quit.
Well, here's the deal. This is your responsibility. It's not mine. It's not Denise's. It isn't HCG's job. It's not going to fix you.
Right.
You're going to fix yourself. And it all comes down to how miserable are you really?
Right now? Pretty darn miserable. Yeah.
That's the best place to start.
Yeah.
You have to be at the bottom because then you're desperate. And as soon as someone comes in, I'm thinking, I hope they're desperate because this takes desperate. If I said to you, if you drink your own urine and you'll be saved, what would you do? Are you there yet?
I would close my eyes.
And you drink it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So then you're in a good place to do this.
Yeah.
And you have bulimia.
Mm-hmm.
How often are you purging?
Probably once or twice a month.
Oh my God.
But depending, I can have a week where
I'm just saying that's like, seriously?
Right, I know.
You're talking to someone who's purged like 8 times a day.
Yeah, no, the most I've ever done is twice a day, and it would be under an extreme sort of stress situation where maybe I had a bad week, and I would do it 5 times in a week, but then I may not do it again for 3 months.
Have you had your teeth replaced yet?
No.
Oh my God, you're so lucky.
No.
So how long has this been going on?
Off and on, 15, 20 years.
So did it start out of trauma, or did it start out of a diet that went wrong?
I've never had trauma, so
I knew it. I knew it. I just am
I'm completely healthy. I have a healthy family. My family loves me.
I love it. I'm not saying I love this, but you are going to be, this is going to be so easy.
Okay, good.
The problem is the diet industry. You have been sucked into that vortex, and you have been in this vicious vortex, and you just need to get out. Yeah. You are what the majority of Americans are. The only thing is you're willing to puke it up because you know as well as I do, puking is not like having a flu.
No. Well, and for me, the puking all goes to the calories in, calories out. I just figure I binged. I probably ate 1,200 calories.
Well, we just ruined that for you.
I know. If I just can get it out, it won't count, right?
Well, this is what I was going to say to you. And I say this to every binger and purger. It's not an option. If puking was not an option, nor is exercise, would you binge?
Sometimes.
So then there's no way to purge, so you're going to have to deal with the stress.
Right.
That's where I'm like, I don't know if you're being honest with yourself, because if there is no way out of that hell, because if you can't purge, would you not agree that you get so insane? Mm-hmm. If it wasn't an option, truly, would you binge? Because I think a lot of the binge purge cycle is the fact that you're saying, screw it, I'm just going to purge. And as soon as you know you're going to purge, the game is on.
As soon as I know I'm going to purge.
That's the binge.
The binge
so
goes
listen
up.
to me.
Yeah. But there are times...
If it was not an option.
Right.
How often are your purges coinciding with the moment you decide I'm going, or binging is coinciding with the That's what I'm trying to tell you. Get rid of the purge, and what you would sit there and debate a lot longer than you are. I seriously doubt you ever really debate anymore, because as soon as that decision's made,
no, there are times where I binge and I argue and I know, okay, I can't. Puking is bad. I can't. So
because it's after your teeth and the esophagus.
Right. Yeah. So then
that's not enough.
But then I sit and argue with myself.
But then I'm going to get fat. Right. I'm getting fat as we speak.
Right. My clothes are shrinking.
Oh my God, I'm huge.
Right. Yeah. So I don't throw up every time, but It's always...
What we need to start with, it is not an option. But the other thing is, how often would you even consider binging if you didn't judge the food that you're eating?
Probably not at all.
Okay. So there are two components that we need to focus on. There is no moral value to food. You believed that. That's where the diet industry has really fucked you up.
Mm-hmm.
And you believed it.
Yep. I was telling Denise, I have a great example right now. I have a 2-year-old daughter. And when she's hungry, sometimes it's cucumbers, sometimes it's marshmallows. And she doesn't care.
Nope. And she has no guilt. And she doesn't binge. And she doesn't purge. And her body doesn't get fat.
Exactly. So she's going to be my example right now.
Oh, she is the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot tell you enough that this process for you has to begin with the purge is not an option, because immediately that will force you to really think twice about the binge, okay?
Yep.
So there is no exercising.
Yeah.
There is no diuretics.
No.
There is nothing, that is not available to you.
Right.
So you need to make that decision.
Yep.
The next part is you are not to judge food on a moral scale ever again. Ever again. There is no bad and good food, because that's relative.
Well, and just in what reading this and going through stuff today, that's what, no bad and good, hungry or not.
Okay, and I'm going to come over here and say, and those of you who are food zealots are sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. There is no good or bad food morally. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't intelligence behind food.
Right.
Sure, we could go into all of the science. Yes, there is science to prove that sugar is bad for you. I get it. But it's relative. And the problem emotionally begins when you emotionalize that decision. When all of a sudden it starts with the ideology. Here's what's good and bad. And we're going to put it on a pecking order, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a fine line. There's everything above the list is good, and everything below is bad. And the stuff that's below is part of, like, American culture. Okay? Right. So if you go to a birthday party and you have a piece of cake, it's on, right? Because one piece of cake. And this is where the emotional part occurs, because if that's not on your plan for the day, and you're in the party and you're going, you know what, this is a party, I'm celebrating, and you're justifying why you're going to eat that food, even though you think it's morally bad and it's a sin, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as you have a bite, it's like, oh my God.
Free for all.
Well, but then there's the debate. It's, well, this is really bad. Well, I've just had a piece of, I've ruined it anyways. So then I might as well eat as much as I want, because, number one, I'm going to purge, or my diet starts tomorrow. So if you don't purge, it's because you're going to start over tomorrow. 100%. Like, sleeping at night is real penance for that.
Yeah, that's exactly true.
It's insane to even think that that's reality, because you know as well as I do, biochemically, sleeping does not erase hormonal damage.
No.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
So the problem is the moral judgment of that food. Because if you didn't have guilt with that piece of cake, would you have eaten? Would you have felt bad? Would you have had guilt if you didn't morally judge it? Because I will tell you right now, a binge does not occur unless you are guilty.
I've never thought about that. That makes sense. I agree.
I know, because I've been there.
Right.
They don't teach this in books.
No.
You have to have been one to know it.
Yeah.
If you don't have guilt, you don't binge. And that is the difference between you and your 2-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
When was that guilt created? Your parents didn't do it. It was with your first diet. So I want you to think about the last 15 years and where you were before you went on your first diet, where you are today, and how well it's done for you. You just need to know that you don't really, you have an eating disorder, but so does everybody. You're no different. You just have come to the conclusion sooner than most everybody.
Yeah.
Most people have the same issue you do, but they don't think they have an emotional disorder.
Yeah.
Did you not get that with this book? Did it not help you a little bit to go, oh my
yeah.
God, I'm normal?
Yeah, it totally helped.
I know.
Yeah, totally
Most people aren't willing to puke, though.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, I said this to someone the other day. They're like, oh my God, I just can't stand puking. I'm like, well, when you have the flu, it's awful.
Right.
But I'm not even going to say this on camera because I don't want anybody to do it. But my God, it's an easy out.
It is.
But it's not, because now you have a new addiction. Here's the problem with bulimia type addictions, is there's two sides to the addiction. There's the control, and then there's the purge. Control, binge, purge. There's 3 components to it. And there's 3 addictions, not just one. It is a miserable, miserable life to live. Because it is 90% of what you have to think about. Because not only are you obsessing over the restriction or your food religion.
Right.
You're obsessing over this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're fearful of anything outside of that. And then obsessing over food you can't have.
Right.
And then you eat it. And then you're obsessing about getting more because you're going to purge.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the purge. And then there's massive guilt. Not only guilt when you eat, but then the freedom of the eat. And then the guilt when you feel bad about it, and then the freedom of the purge. It's crazy. Yeah. It's not like just something as simple as alcoholism, which would be easier.
Right. I've never talked to anyone who gets it before.
I've been to the bottom.
Yeah.
The bottom. The nice thing is I can help you, because I've been there. So I kind of know where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on that view. So I kind of know if you're getting desperate, you're not going to commit suicide because you have a child.
Right.
But when do you say, well, I'm just going to accept my disorder for what it is? And that's kind of where you might be. Where it's like, you know what, this is the way my life is. Hey, it's better than this,
Yeah, I told my husband, I said, I'm either going to spend the money doing this, or I'm going to accept where I'm at, and I'm going to go buy a bunch of new clothes. Because right now I wear 10% of what's in my closet. Because
I'm so glad you're there. And honestly, you need to be happy with your body today. Because that's the other part of it. You're fighting for some idea based on looks. I've got 3 minutes. We're going to close this in 3 minutes.
No worries.
You need to be in love with your body today. Accept it where it's at. I know you've heard this part before.
Yeah.
But that it is the truth. When you kind of submit to the fact that you really sucked at controlling things. Have you done a good job? You need to let go. You need to let go.
Yeah.
And just acknowledge and accept your body for how amazing it is. Your body created another human being.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Just fall in love with your own body and really focus in on developing that self-worth that kind of went away. When you think about where you were 15 years ago before your first diet, would you not agree you were in way better health?
Oh.
Physically, emotionally, spiritually, confidence, self-worth.
Yep.
You are a byproduct of cultural damage. This is an easy fix. You are about to get out of that vicious hole.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited for you.
Bring it on. Let's go.
I'm getting chills.